Hi, hope all is well. Hope you're enjoying your guitar journey, having fun. And I know now you're into chord changing, and it could seem like, it's a big mountain you're trying to climb, but let me tell you, it gets easier and easier with time, and you can do it. Everybody struggles with chord changing when they're first playing guitar. Everybody, okay? So what you're going through now is exactly what every guitar player on this planet has gone through before you, all right? And it's not easy. If it's easy, everybody would be a great guitar player. But you're following a structured plan that we have laid out for you on the website, and you're practicing the right things, okay? And you should be using the techniques that we've been discussing in the modules. Now you should be using shared fingers to work on your chord changing, and you also should be using the cluster principle to be working on your chord changing. And those are critical, and you want to make sure that you're using the proper chord changing techniques like we discussed earlier, keeping that wrist down, keeping your fingers close as possible to the fretboard, right? Cupping your fingers, keeping that pinky hitched a ride or tucked in tight on that third finger, okay? So what you want to do now is you want to download, if you haven't already, the document that is the open position chord changing techniques and principles document, okay? It's in the written section of the website. It's 6 pages, all right? Now, like I always say, I've said before in previous modules, you want to get yourself a 3-ring binder, okay? And keep all your written lessons and get some blank paper in there to use to write down notes and write down a little practice log, okay? And keep everything in there. It keeps it nice. This way it's nice and handy. You should get a music stand too. You can get a music stand for 20, 30 bucks. And this way you can have the stuff up nice and high so it's at eye level. You're not looking down on stuff on the table. You could flip through it. Make it easy on yourself, right? Okay. All right. So what this document is, in the beginning I kind of give a little bit of a review on chord changing, and at the end on page 6 there's a review on the proper fret hand technique and chord changing technique. I like to really drive these principles into you because they're so important that we're trying to build a rock solid foundation here, because remember, guitar is like that staircase, and you really have to have a good solid foundation that we could build on, and that you're not building up any bad habits as you go along, okay? Now, what's cool about this document is I list out bunches and bunches of chord changes 2 at a time that you should be tackling, okay? And then all we're going to start doing is stringing 2 chord changes together, and you have a 4 chord change, a 3 chord change, a 6 chord change, whatever. But that's basically what songs are. You go from chord to chord to chord for the most part as far as the chords go. So if you can master these 2 chord changes 2 at a time, putting them together into songs is going to make it cake. Cake, okay? I'm telling you. Now, you also should know those basic open position chords that you've been working on, and they should be sounding good. A minor, E minor, E major, D, C, and C add 9, G, and so on, and D minor, and so on and so forth, right? And think of it like this, folks. Think of it like a big whiteboard, and every possible combination of those 2 chord changes with each one is written on that board. And what you're doing with this practice is you're knocking them out. You're mastering them on your board, and then you're knocking them out. Because once you have that chord change down, it's in your pocket forever. That's it. Anytime you have a song that has D to G, once you got that change down, you'll have it. Any song where you'll see G to C add 9, G to E minor, you'll have it. Because so many songs are just the same chords, just in a different order, or with a different melody, or with a different strum. With those 8, 9 chords, man, you could probably play 60% of the music that's out there, if not more. And then as you go on in your journey, you're going to learn some 7th chords coming up, and some major 7ths, and then power and bar chords. And then with those, you'll probably be able to play 85% of the stuff out there. So a lot of popular music, you'll be amazed, is just a few chords. You'll be like, that's all that is? Just D to G, D to C, a 9 to D? That's it. But there's melody to it and cool lyrics, and there's a lot to writing good music. I'm not trying to say it's, simplistic, like anybody can do it and just crank them out. I mean, there's an art to it for sure. But what I am saying is that with those chords, and if you master these changes, you're going to be playing thousands of songs. No problem, okay? So go through the document, and then go through, like for instance, I have the section on shared fingers, and I list out all the changes that you should be working on. G to E minor to C, C to A minor, D minor to G. And then I list, if you forget which fingers are shared, or you're not sure how to do the change, I write. That's why I have it written down here. So these written documents are pretty cool because it ties together the video lessons. And I have a lot of written documents in the written lessons section of the site. You should be, as you're going along, checking and read the box beneath these lessons, the video lessons, because I have text in there and it refers you to the proper written lesson. Go and print it out, or print all of them out and then just keep them in your book, but keep checking back because I keep updating the site and adding new content. And then I have shared cluster changes, and then I give you a bunch of cluster changes to be working on, right? A to D, C to D, A to E minor, D minor to E, A minor to D minor, okay? I talk about a slide principle, and then I talk about the F chord, which you're going to be getting to soon, and you want to be able to play that F chord. Work on mastering these changes and write down the changes you're working on in your practice log, because you should be practicing the mechanics of the changes. And what I mean by that, as you know, is just back and forth. For instance, if you're working on E minor to C, and by the way, all your chords should be ringing out true, and you shouldn't be hearing things like this. Dead strings or, dinks and plinks. You should have them nice and clean. And then just go back and forth. E minor, C, E minor, C. Really pivot, shared finger. Do this for each change. That's what I call the mechanics of the change, and that's how you're going to master it. Then try it with a quarter note. 2, 3, 4, C. 1, 2, 3, 4. E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then try it with like strum 2 or strum 1, whatever strum you've mastered at this point. Strum 2. Down, down, up, down, up. C, down, down, up, down, up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and E minor. C. Okay? And remember, when you're doing your strums, whether it be quarter or eighth note strums, do it as slow as necessary to make the change. Remember, if you're trying to pull this strum really fast, you got to change really fast. All right, or else you'll miss the change. You won't be in time. So slow and in time is so much better than fast, out of time, and sloppy. Speed comes with time. You'll see how much. Look at how fast you're doing it after just a little bit of practice. Okay, and obviously some of the changes are harder than others. So those are the ones you're really going to have to be diligent about and write down in your practice log and just go 10 times a day each change. Let's say you're working on D to G. D, 3. Try to make that G in time. 2, should be tapping your foot. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. See, D to G is in so many songs. Once you master it, man, you have it in your pocket forever. Okay? Because you're going to be using these all the time, and that uses a shared finger. And remember, moving all those fingers at once. Okay? Again, everything that we've talked about, we're kind of building on. You're building up this library of good technique, this catalog of chords that we'll be adding more chords to. Okay? So, first do it, back and forth. Try to get it down clean. Then try it with your quarter note. Then try it with, if you're good at strum 1, try it with strum 1. Down, up, down, up. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay? And again, write these down in your practice logs. Circle the ones that still need work and X through the ones that you've mastered. And the ones that are going to need work more than the others, something like G to C. That's one is going to take a little bit more work. That's a tough one. Students struggle with that. Or G to A minor. Okay, but you can do it. All right? You could do any of these with just 10 minutes a day. Put that guitar in your hands 10 minutes a day. It's so important at the early stages in your journey. You don't want 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days to go by without picking up the guitar, because then you're going to retro back and you'll have to be, flipping back. You'll see what I mean. You'll flip back in your notes because you're like, oh, I had this change down, but I haven't practiced this in 2 weeks. I got to go back. So, write down the date and write down where you're at. Keep track. Okay? Print out the written lesson. And don't get discouraged. It may seem like a mountain you're climbing, because when you're first learning guitar, the learning curve is very steep. All right? Very, very, very steep. Guitar is a tough instrument at first. But after you get the basics down and you're cranking away, it shifts. So you're still learning, but the curve is much easier, okay? Because, you know, you have a lot of this is muscle memory. And that's why I want you practicing these changes back and forth. See, I'm not saying to myself, self, move your third finger up to the A string and your second finger on the D string and change this. See, it's automatic. I'm not thinking about this. I'm just doing it. The muscle memory is there. And so much of these chord changes, no matter what change, it's all about the muscle memory. That's why I want you going back and forth, 10 times a day. You have a free 5 minutes. You know, you're waiting for someone before you go out at night. Pick up your guitar. Leave your guitar out on a stand. Pick up the guitar and just go through some changes. Those little 10 minutes a day, do that 3 times a day. It's a half hour. Goes by before you know it. All right? The other thing is if you're in your car, kind of just think about, you know, on the steering wheel, those changes, getting that hand, you know, we're trying to get it stretched out and dexterous and getting this muscles. And you've noticed, because when you first tried doing a change, it was like, you probably almost had to pick your fingers up and move them, and how hard it was and how little control you had over your own hand. It's amazing. But after a while, once that muscle memory and you get those tendons used to it, it's so much easier, okay? So you're at a critical stage in your playing right now, and I want you to really emphasize good technique, like we've talked about. Read the reviews and the documents and practice as per the documents and the practice regimens that we have set up here on the site. And you're going to be rocking out in no time, my friends, okay? So if you have any questions, email us, and we will see you in the next lesson. Rock on.